Dollar is the name of more than 25 currencies. The United States dollar, named after the international currency known as the Spanish dollar, was established in 1792 and is the first so named that still survives. Others include the Australian dollar, Brunei dollar, Canadian dollar, Eastern Caribbean dollar, Hong Kong dollar, Jamaican dollar, Liberian dollar, Namibian dollar, New Taiwan dollar, New Zealand dollar, Singapore dollar, Trinidad and Tobago dollar, and several others. The symbol for most of those currencies is the $dollar in the same way as many countries using peso currencies. The name dollar originates from Bohemia and a 29-gram silver coin called the Joachimsthaler. Here is the list of the countries with dollar currency in the world 2024. Dollar is the name of more than 25 currencies. The United States dollar, named after the international currency known as the Spanish dollar, was established in 1792 and is the first so named that still survives. Others include the Australian dollar, Brunei dollar, Canadian dollar, Eastern Caribbean dollar, Hong Kong dollar, Jamaican dollar, Liberian dollar, Namibian dollar, New Taiwan dollar, New Zealand dollar, Singapore dollar, Trinidad and Tobago dollar, and several others. The symbol for most of those currencies is the $dollar in the same way as many countries using peso currencies. The name dollar originates from Bohemia and a 29-gram silver coin called the Joachimsthaler. Here is the list of the countries with dollar currency in the world 2024. The United States dollar symbol, dollar, currency code, USD. Also abbreviated United States dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. Referred to as the dollar, US dollar, American dollar, or colloquially buck, is the official currency of the United States and several other countries. The Coinage Act of 1792 introduced the US dollar at par with the Spanish silver dollar, divided it into 100 cents. And authorized the minting of coins denominated in dollars and cents. U.S. banknotes are issued in the form of Federal Reserve notes, popularly called greenbacks due to their predominantly green color. Countries that use U.S. dollar, including 5 territories: American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, United States Virgin Islands, United States Minor Outlying Islands, Baker Island, Howland Island, Jarvis Island, Johnston Atoll, Kingman Reef, Midway Atoll, Palmyra Atoll, and Wake Island, and one in the Caribbean Sea, Naviso Island. Compact of Free Association. The Compacts of Free Association, COFA, are international agreements establishing and governing the relationships of free association between the United States and the 3 Pacific Island sovereign states of the Federated States of Micronesia (FSM), the Republic of the Marshall Islands (RMI), and the Republic of Palau. All 3 agreements next expire in 2043. East Timor, Ecuador, El Salvador, Liberia, Panama, Zimbabwe. Countries that use US dollar: informal, Bonaire, British Indian Ocean Territory, British Virgin Islands, Cambodia, Sabah, St. Eustatius, Turks and Caicos Islands, Venezuela. The dollar code, BSD, has been the currency of the Bahamas since 1966. It is normally abbreviated with the $dollar, or alternatively be dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. It is divided into 100 cents. The Bahamian dollar is pegged to the US dollar on a 1-to-1 basis. The Central Bank of the Bahamas states that it uses reserve requirements, changes in the bank discount rate, and selective credit controls, supplemented by moral suasion. As main instruments of monetary policy, the central bank's objective is to keep stable conditions, including credit, in order to maintain the parity between the US dollar and the Bahamian dollar while allowing economic development to proceed. The Bermudian dollar symbol, dollar, code, BMD, also abbreviated BD dollar. Informally called the Bermuda dollar, is the official currency of the British Overseas Territory of Bermuda. It is subdivided into 100 cents. The Bermudian dollar is not normally traded outside Bermuda, and is pegged to the United States dollar at a 1-to-1 ratio. Both currencies circulate in Bermuda on an equal basis. Since 1972, Bermudian law has required that local businesses charge prices in Bermudian dollars which, if paid in US dollars, must be accepted at a rate of 1-to-1. Only banks are legally allowed to exchange Bermudian dollars into US dollars or other currencies, subject to a 1% to 5% foreign currency purchase tax. Some banks also charge an exchange fee. The Australian dollar sign, dollar, code, AUD. Also abbreviated Australian dollar, or sometimes Australian dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. And also referred to as the dollar or Aussie dollar, is the official currency and legal tender of Australia, including all of its external territories and 3 independent sovereign Pacific Island states, Kiribati, Nauru, and Tuvalu. As of 2022, it is the 6th most traded currency in the foreign exchange market and also the 7th most held reserve currency in global reserves. The Australian dollar was introduced as a decimal currency on the 14th of February 1966 to replace the non-decimal Australian pound, with a conversion rate of $2 to the pound. It is subdivided into 100 cents. The dollar symbol precedes the amount. On the introduction of the currency, the dollar symbol was intended to have 2 strokes, but the version with 1 stroke has also always been acceptable. In 2023, there were 4.4 billion Australian dollars in coins and 101.3 billion Australian dollars in notes of Australian currency in circulation, or around 6,700 Australian dollars per person in Australia, which includes cash reserves held by the banking system and cash in circulation in other countries or held as a foreign exchange reserve. Countries that use Australian dollar. Australian notes and coins are also legal tender in the independent sovereign states of Kiribati, Nauru, and Tuvalu. Nauru never had its own currency. Tuvalu and Kiribati additionally had their respective Tuvaluan and Kiribati dollars at par with the Australian dollar. They are legal tender in their respective countries, but not in Australia. However, both countries no longer produce coinage since the 1990s and have never produced their own banknotes. As a result, the Australian dollar is the dominant currency in both countries. The Canadian dollar symbol, dollar, code, CAD. French, dollar Canadian, is the currency of Canada. It is abbreviated with the dollar sign dollar. There is no standard disambiguating form, but the abbreviations CAN dollar. Canadian dollar and C dollar are frequently used for distinction from other dollar-denominated currencies, though C remains ambiguous with the Nicaraguan Cordoba. It is divided into 100 cents, accounting for approximately 2% of all global reserves. The Canadian dollar is the sixth most held reserve currency in the world, behind the US dollar, euro, yen, sterling, and renminbi. The Canadian dollar is popular with central banks because of Canada's relative economic soundness, the Canadian government's strong sovereign position, and the stability of the country's legal and political systems. The New Zealand dollar sign, dollar. Code, NZD is the official currency and legal tender of New Zealand, the Cook Islands, Niue, the Ross Dependency, Tokelau, and a British territory, the Pitcairn Islands, within New Zealand. It is almost always abbreviated with the dollar sign dollar. The abbreviations dollar and Z or NZ dollar are used outside New Zealand when necessary to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. The New Zealand dollar was introduced in 1967. It is subdivided into 100 cents. Altogether, it has 5 coins and 5 banknotes, with the smallest being the 10-cent coin. Smaller denominations have been discontinued due to inflation and production costs in the context of currency trading. The New Zealand dollar is sometimes informally called the Kiwi or Kiwi dollar, since the flightless bird, the kiwi, is depicted on its $1 coin. It is the 10th most traded currency in the world, representing 2.1% of global foreign exchange market daily turnover in 2019. The Singapore dollar sign, S dollar, code, SGD is the official currency of the Republic of Singapore. It is divided into 100 cents. It is normally abbreviated with the dollar sign dollar, or S dollar, to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, MOS, issues the banknotes and coins of the Singapore dollar. As of 2022, the Singapore dollar is the 10th most traded currency in the world by value, apart from its use in Singapore. The Singapore dollar is also accepted as customary tender in Brunei according to the Currency Interchangeability Agreement between the Monetary Authority of Singapore and the Autoriti Monetari Brunei Darussalam, Monetary Authority of Brunei Darussalam. Likewise, the Brunei dollar is also customarily accepted in Singapore.
The dollar has been the currency of Barbados since 1935. Globally, its currency has the ISO 4217 code BBD. However, unofficially in Barbados, the International Vehicle Registration Code BDS is also commonly used, a currency code that is otherwise reserved for Bangladesh. ISO 3166 one country code BD, outside Barbados. As such, the present Barbados dollar has the official ISO 4217 code of BB, which matches the .bbc-ctld domain names classification for Barbados under ISO 3166. plus D for dollar in the foreign exchange market. The Barbadian dollar is considered as a currency which can be divided into 100 cents, though the 1-cent coin is in the process of being phased out. In terms of population, Barbados is the third smallest country in the world after Tonga and the Seychelles to have an independent currency and monetary policy. The present dollar was created after the establishment of the Central Bank of Barbados, CBB, which was founded by an Act of Parliament in May 1972. The Barbados dollar replaced the East Caribbean dollar, at par in 1973. Since the 5th of July 1975, the Barbados dollar has been pegged to the US dollar. It is presently fixed at an exchange rate of $1 equals BBD $1.98. However, in practice in businesses, the effective exchange rate with US dollar is fixed at 2-to-1 in favor of the US dollar, i.e., $1 equals BBD $2. The Belize dollar is the official currency in Belize, currency code BZD. It is normally abbreviated with the $, or alternatively BZ dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. It is divided into 100 cents. The Belize dollar was officially recognized as the currency for Belize on January 1, 1974, when it replaced the British Honduras dollar. Belize, which was a British colony and part of British Honduras, was renamed Belize 6 months prior on June 1, 1973. Belize's currency was initially pegged to the British pound, but in 1931, when Britain abandoned the gold standard, Belize's currency became pegged to the US dollar. Since 1978, the Belize dollar has been pegged to the US dollar at a rate of BZ $2 to $1 USD. The Eastern Caribbean dollar, code XCD, is the currency of all 7 full members, and 1 associate member of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS. The successor to the British West Indies dollar, it has existed since 1965, and it is normally abbreviated with the $, or, alternatively, EC dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. The EC dollar is subdivided into 100 cents. It has been pegged to the United States dollar since the 7th of July 1976, at the exchange rate of $1 equals EC $2.70. 6 of the states using the EC dollar are independent states: Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The other 2, Anguilla and Montserrat, are British overseas territories. These states are all members of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. The other 2 associate members of the OECS do not use the Eastern Caribbean dollar as their official currency: the British Virgin Islands and Martinique. The Brunei dollar, sign B dollar, Malay, Ringgit Brunei, currency code BND, has been the currency of the Sultanate of Brunei since 1967. It is normally abbreviated with the $, or alternatively B dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. It is divided into 100 sen, Malay, or cents, English. The Brunei dollar is issued by the Brunei Darussalam Central Bank. The Brunei dollar replaced the Malaya and British Borneo dollar in 1967 after the formation of Malaysia and the independence of Singapore. Under a currency interchangeability agreement in 1967, the Brunei dollar is interchangeable with the Singapore dollar at par. As such, the Brunei dollar is accepted in Singapore as customary tender. Likewise, The Singapore dollar is accepted in Brunei. The Fijian dollar, currency sign, FJ dollar, dollar, currency code, FJD, has been the currency of Fiji since 1969 and was also the currency between 1867 and 1873. It is normally abbreviated with the dollar sign dollar, or alternatively FJ dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. It is divided into 100 cents. Fiji followed the pattern of South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand in that when it adopted the decimal system, it decided to use the half-pound unit as opposed to the pound unit of account. The choice of the name dollar was motivated by the fact that the reduced value of the new unit corresponded more closely to the value of the US dollar than it did to the pound sterling. The dollar was reintroduced on the 15th of January 1969, replacing the Fijian pound at a rate of 1 pound equals to dollars, or 10 shillings equals FJ $1. Despite Fiji having been a republic since 1987, coins and banknotes continued to feature Queen Elizabeth II until 2013, when her portrait was replaced with pictures of plants and animals. The Hong Kong dollar, sign, HK dollar, code, HKD, is the official currency of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. It is subdivided into 100 cents or 1,000 mils. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority is the monetary authority of Hong Kong, and the Hong Kong dollar. 3 commercial banks are licensed by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority to issue their own banknotes for general circulation in Hong Kong. These banks, HSBC, Bank of China, and Standard Chartered, issue their own designs of banknotes in denominations of 20 Hong Kong dollars, 50 Hong Kong dollars, 100 Hong Kong dollars, 150 Hong Kong dollars, 500 Hong Kong dollars, and 1,000 Hong Kong dollars, with all designs being similar to one another in the same denomination of banknote. However, the 10 Hong Kong dollars banknote and all coins are issued by the government of Hong Kong. As of April 2019, the Hong Kong dollar was the 9th most traded currency in the world. Hong Kong uses a linked exchange rate system, trading since May 2005 in the range 1 US dollar, 7 Hong Kong dollars and 75 cents 7.85. Apart from its use in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong dollar is also used in neighboring Macau. It is pegged at 1 Hong Kong dollar to 1.03 Macanese Patakas, and is generally accepted at par or MOP 1.00 for retail purchases. The Trinidad and Tobago Dollar, currency code TTD, is the currency of Trinidad and Tobago. It is normally abbreviated with the dollar sign dollar, or alternatively TT dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. It is subdivided into 100 cents. Cents are abbreviated with the cent sign or TT to distinguish from other currencies that use cents. Its predecessor currencies are the Trinidadian dollar and the Tobagonian dollar. In 1964, Trinidad and Tobago introduced its own dollar. Between 1964 and 1968, the Trinidad and Tobago dollar was utilized in Grenada as legal tender, until that country rejoined the common currency arrangements of the East Caribbean dollar. The Trinidad and Tobago dollar and the Eastern Caribbean dollar were the last two currencies in the world to retain the old rating of £1 equals $4.80, as per the gold sovereign to the pieces of 8. Both of these currencies ended this relationship within a few weeks of each other in 1976. The Solomon Islands dollar, ISO 4217 code, SBD, is the currency of Solomon Islands since 1977. Its symbol is dollar, with SU dollar used to differentiate it from other currencies also using the dollar sign. It is subdivided into 100 cents. The Solomon Islands dollar was introduced in 1977, replacing the Australian dollar at par, following independence. Until 1979, the $2 remained equal. Then for 5 months the SU dollar was pegged at SU $1 equals 1 Australian dollar and 5 cents, apparently revalued to reduce imported inflation, and later floated. Economic stagnation ensued. So over the next 28 years, and especially during the Civil War of 2000-2003, inflationary pressure reduced the Solomon Islands dollar to be worth 15 Australian cents. The new Taiwan dollar, code TWD, symbol NT dollar, also abbreviated as NT, is the official currency of the Republic of China. The new Taiwan dollar has been the currency of the island of Taiwan since 1949, when it replaced the old Taiwan dollar, at a rate of 40,000 old dollars per one new dollar. The basic unit of the new Taiwan dollar is called a yuan, and is subdivided into 10 kiao, and into 100 fen or cents, although in practice both kiao and fen are never actually used. The Central Bank of the Republic of China, Taiwan, has issued the new Taiwan dollar since 2000. Prior to 2000, the Bank of Taiwan issued banknotes as the de facto central bank between 1949 and 1961, and after 1961, continued to issue banknotes as a delegate of the central bank. The central bank began issuing new Taiwan dollar banknotes in July 2000, and the notes issued by the Bank of Taiwan were taken out of circulation. The Surinamese dollar, ISO 4217 code SRD, has been the currency of Suriname since 2004. It is divided into 100 cent. The Surinamese dollar is normally abbreviated with the dollar sign dollar, or alternatively senior dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. In spoken Surinamese Dutch, it is widely referred to by its acronym SRD, with dollar generally being understood as meaning the US dollar. The dollar replaced the Surinamese guilder on the 1st of January 2004, with $1 equal to 1,000 guilders. The people of Suriname often refer to their currency as SRD to differentiate it from the US dollar, which is also used to quote prices for electronic goods, household furnishings and appliances, and automobiles. The value of the Surinamese dollar, SRD, was set by the central bank between 2004 and 2021. In June 2021, the central bank devalued the SRD by 33% and announced the currency would float freely. By June 2022, official exchange rates began to reflect the real floating exchange rate. The Namibia dollar, symbol, dollar or N dollar, code, NAD, has been the currency of Namibia since 1993. It is normally abbreviated with the dollar sign, dollar, or alternatively N dollar to distinguish it from other currencies called dollar. It is divided into 100 cents. The dollar replaced the South African rand, which had been the country's currency while it was under South African rule, as Southwest Africa from 1920 until 1990, at par. The rand is still legal tender, as the Namibian dollar is linked to the South African rand, and can be exchanged on a one-to-one basis locally. Namibia was also part of the Common Monetary Area, from independence in 1990 until the introduction of the dollar in 1993. In the beginning, alternative names for the Namibian dollar were suggested, including Namibian Kalahar, referencing the Kalahari Desert in the east of Namibia, but ultimately the government settled on the name Namibian dollar. The first notes were issued on the 15th of September 1993. The Bank of Namibia issued the first banknotes on the 15th of September 1993 and, in December, issued the first national coins. The Jamaican dollar, sign, dollar, code, JMD, has been the currency of Jamaica since 1969. It is often abbreviated to J dollar, the J serving to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. It is divided into 100 cents, although cent denominations are no longer in use as of 2018. Goods and services may still be priced in cents, but cash transactions are now rounded to the nearest dollar. On January 30th, 1968, the Jamaican House of Representatives voted to decimalize the currency by introducing the dollar, worth 10 shillings, to replace the Jamaican pound. Coins and banknotes went into circulation on September 8, 1969. The new Jamaican dollar, and the Cayman Islands dollar, differed from all the other dollars in the British West Indies in that it was essentially a half-pound sterling. All the other dollars in the vicinity either began on the US dollar unit, in the case of Belize, Bermuda, and the Bahamas, or the Spanish dollar unit in the case of the Eastern Caribbean territories, Barbados and Guyana. The Spanish dollar unit at any rate was approximately the same value as the US unit. The dollar, currency code LRD, has been the currency of Liberia since 1943. It was also the country's currency between 1847 and 1907. It is normally abbreviated with the sign dollar, or alternatively L dollar or LD dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-named currencies. It is divided into 100 cents. United States currency replaced the British West African pound in Liberia in 1935. Starting in 1937, Liberia issued its own coins, which circulated alongside U.S. currency. The currency is printed and its value is maintained by the Central Bank of Liberia. It isn't uncommon to receive a mix of change, in both Liberian and U.S. dollars, when executing transactions. The Guyanese dollar, code GYD, has been the unit of account in Guyana, formerly British Guiana, since the 29th of January 1839. Originally it was intended as a transitional unit to facilitate the changeover from the Dutch guilder system of currency to the British pound sterling system. The Spanish dollar was already prevalent throughout the West Indies in general, and from 1839 the Spanish dollar unit operated in British Guiana, in conjunction with British sterling coins at a standard conversion rate of $1 for every 4 shillings and twopence. In 1951, the British sterling coinage was replaced with a new decimal coinage, which was simultaneously introduced through all the British territories in the Eastern Caribbean. When sterling began to depreciate in the early 1970s, a switch to a US dollar peg became increasingly attractive as an anti-inflationary measure, and the Eastern Caribbean Currency Authority, of which Guyana was a member, made the switch in October 1975. The Guyanese dollar is normally abbreviated with the $, or alternatively G dollar, Guyanese dollar, to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies. The Zimbabwean dollar, sign, dollar, or Z dollar to distinguish it from other dollar-denominated currencies, was the name for official currencies of Zimbabwe, from 1980 to the 12th of April 2009. During this time, it was subject to periods of extreme inflation, followed by a period of hyperinflation. The Zimbabwean dollar was introduced in 1980 to directly replace the Rhodesian dollar, which had been introduced in 1970, at par 1:1, at a similar value to the US dollar. In the 20th century the dollar functioned as a normal currency, but in the early 21st century hyperinflation in Zimbabwe reduced the Zimbabwean dollar to one of the lowest valued currency units in the world. It was redenominated 3 times, in 2006, 2008 and 2009, with denominations up to a $100 trillion banknote issued. The final redenomination produced the 4th dollar, CWL, which was worth 1,025 ZWD, first dollars. On the 24th of June 2019, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe abolished the multiple currency system and replaced it with a new Zimbabwe dollar, the RTGS dollar, which was the only official currency in the country between June 2019 and March 2020, after which multiple foreign currencies were allowed again. On the 5th of April 2024, the dollar was removed and replaced with what the authorities called a structured currency, backed by gold, named ZIG.